Welcome to today's episode of The Grief Diary. I am Mama Reg. The Grief Diary is where we embrace, accept, and of course, discuss our grief. I have a wonderful woman with me today. She's going to talk about the grief story, her own grief story after losing her husband in 2021. She's actually my namesake. But let's talk about your story. Tell me your story, how you came about experiencing this grief in detail.
My son was brought home and he was being treated at home there. So I went back to the hospital with my daughter because I have a daughter and 3 boys. So I and my daughter stayed in the hospital with my son, hoping that in the morning, we've planned that in the morning I will go stay with her dad. But like I said, if I ask anybody I want to go there, they will say wait until around 11 in the morning. My daughter told me, say, Mommy, some people are testing me. I say, what is it? What are they saying? He said, someone just tested me, say, I hope what I'm hearing is not true. And she said he told the person, what are you hearing? That my dad had an accident. The person say, okay, I hope it's not true. I hope it's just an accident. She said, yes, it's just an accident. But another person tested her the same thing. So I called my daughter. I say, let's go. Because it's an accident. So somehow it became a police case.
Oh.
So yes, because the bus that was involved with the accident that hit them was taken to a police station, a nearby police station. So we took a bike with my daughter. When we get to the police station, I saw his kinsmen, his business partner, people filled everywhere. I was like, is it just the accident that? So that was when one of them, their kinsmen, and I say, oh yeah, sit down, everybody sit down. I sat down. The man now came to my front. He called me. He said, what happened now? We lost Kele, because that's what I always call him.
Your husband.
He said, we lost Kele. I screamed. I started speaking in tongues. That is the only thing I can remember. And when I started speaking in tongues, I was shooting episodes. Like from the first day I met him, from the like under 10 seconds, I've shot like 10,000 episodes. Like in my head. So, and I was hearing my daughter screaming that side also. So
because she heard.
Yes, she was there. They sat us down somewhere there. She was there. So after some minutes, we now went back home. And that was how my grief journey started. And that day when I entered my compound, I started telling the women, I am now a widow. I am now a widow.
My goodness.
I am now a widow. I'm now a widow. The women it's okay.
So he was buried.
Yes.
But was there any, we always have so many stories. Was the burial very smooth?
Exactly. His burial was very smooth. No problem at all. No issue. I didn't have this one. Sometimes I hear they say sit down or do this. I didn't have any problem with anybody. And I'm an Igbo woman.
Yeah.
So they always make it that you barb your hair.
Yeah.
But nobody disturbed me. Though here in Lagos, before I travel, I went to a barber shop.
By yourself?
Barb my hair from. I told myself, why are you keeping hair? I was with long braid. So I cut it down by myself, no skin. And also after the burial, we came back.
Now, that's exactly where I want to hear that story more on that. How has it been since the burial? How have you had a support system? Have you had any?
God has been supportive. That's what I would say. Because those friends that helped in his burial, because my husband was an only child and an orphan.
Oh.
I didn't know his parents. I didn't meet his parents. He was an only child. He was an orphan. But he had friends, in quotes. He had friends. So the friends, they really rally around. They did everything. Nobody said, where did you keep Kobo? They did everything. Took his corpse home, the burial, everything. In short, they tried. So, but when we came back, problems started. So one of them, which is his best friend, that took him to the hospital and to the mortuary also.
Yes.
One thing led to the other. He just stopped, like he was angry with me that I did not do what he said I should do. And what did he say I should do? Because my husband died, like I said, August 30th, and he was buried October 23rd.
Okay.
So after 2 weeks, we spent 2 weeks at home and we came back. When we came back, remember my son that had the accident with him, he can't walk.
As at that time, he was
At
not
that
working.
time, no. But we waited so that he can at least be taking steps before the burial, which God did. He started walking before the burial. So after the burial, we came back, and he still have appointments with the hospital, going for dressing of the wounds. So on that 25th of December, because that my husband friend, he said that we should come on 25th, that he wants to cook for us.
Oh, he asked you to come while you were still going through the mourning period.
But from 20th of December, I and the children, we did not even open our door. It was just crying galore. Like 20th, 21st, 22nd, the children were like, where is daddy? Mommy, where is daddy? Are we not going to do Christmas? Where is daddy? On 25th. I did not even, when we were crying also, we didn't cook, we didn't do anything, we were just crying. So after that 25th, I don't know that made that guy angry that we didn't show up to his house. So after like some days, he stopped picking my call, calling me. I didn't know what is happening until one day he now came with one other man, his friend and his kinsmen, because his friends were his kinsmen also.
Yeah.
He came with them. The guy was like that he's angry. The man asked him, what is your grievance against this woman? And I say, that after helping me to bury my husband, that if he says something, that I will not do what he said. After that day, he said many things that I didn't come on 25th. I now apologized and said that day we did not even see this cloud. We did not come out. So I am sorry. So after that day, I thought it ended there. I pleaded with him. He said, okay, it's okay, that he will call me. And that was it. Till now. We are 3 years plus now. So we move and we are still here. Then the supportive side, I can say it's only God that been supporting I and these children. From strangers, I would say maybe social media. In some groups, there are some widows group that I joined, and they will say, someone can say, send your account number, and they will give us something. That is how we have been coping. I'm a teacher, a private school teacher, imagine. But God has been faithful. God has been faithful. And during that time of grief, which I'm still on it was all, or it is still the word of God that have been keeping me. Because sometimes my head will like filled up, like want to explode. But immediately I carried my Bible and start searching, I will see some things that will make me to like come back.
But let's talk about some of the. I've heard many stories of how grieving women are taken advantage of. Sometimes, even in the grief, going through it, you get to see friends of the husband, you get to see relatives. People take advantage. Were you taken advantage of in terms of maybe his properties and every other thing?
Not really, but his car was sold by his friends and his kinsmen.
Sold? I don't understand. Sold as
Sold, as in they sold
you
it.
consented
If you-
to being sold.
Yes, they
They
told me.
asked you.
I was even the one that said I don't want to see this
Okay.
car. I don't want to see this
Okay.
car. I don't want to, because of that time.
The panic.
Had it been, I know that there will be a time I will sit down like 5 minutes without crying, that car would have not moved an inch.
I understand.
Because nobody forced me. I was the one that went inside, take all the peppers and everything and give them.
Okay.
Then, but I know it's because
Of the emotions of that moment.
of that moment. And I don't have anybody by my side that can direct me or say, it's just me and me and me. So that one, I was not forced. And in other ways, there's no way I was intimidated.
So have you been able to, how are the children, are they coping? Because just for the last time, I want you to tell us how the coping mechanism, because I can imagine a child, you were grieving 3 ways. Your child, your baby girl, and God helped you. And of course, your husband is still a grieving process. How have the children been able to cope with their own grieving? Do you notice a sign that they are really getting out of their griefs?
They are gradually, because my grieving, I will I say I have a triple, or what will I call grieving, because I lost my senior sister 2018. She gave birth. After giving birth, 5 days after giving birth, she died and left the baby. And my husband said, go and get the baby. We are going to take the baby because my mom is aged, so she can't take care of the baby. So imagine, after taking the baby, after it was not up to 2 years, and my husband also left. I'm using left because up till now, I cannot, it's still heavy for me in my mouth to say my husband died. I've never used it. But it's reality. He died. But it's still heavy in my mouth to say he died. So I was still grieving my sister, and this big one came. So am I grieving the baby? The baby will be every time, Mommy, where is daddy? Where is daddy? Where is daddy? That my little nephew, and my children, to the glory of God, they are coping. My second son just wrote his first paper in WAEC on Friday, and this thing happened on Monday. The young man said he's not writing again. We have to beg and beg him. I and my daughter and the people that
came to mourn, condole with you.
Begged and begged before he now. But to the glory of God, he made the paper, which I didn't know what he was able to write there. So my son that was involved in the accident, it was up till now, it has not been good at all. But I thank God that he's coping gradually, because after that happened, he hated God. He don't want to hear anything about God. If you say anything about God, he will say, I don't want to hear it. There is nothing like God. I have to call my pastors, call some people to talk to him. But I thank God, as of now, he can agree that indeed there is God. Even I myself, do you know that every morning after praying in my home, we do declaration of Psalm 117 verse 18. I shall not die but live. So, but till even this morning, before I came here, as after prayers, I want to declare it, that thing will just ring. I just saw my husband, how he knelt down and declared that morning, and he still died. So the devil will just say, what are you declaring? He died. Your husband died after declaring that he will not die. So, but I thank God that God has been seeing me through. I thank God for the word of God that I knew. Thank you, ma. I thank God for the word of God that I knew. That after, immediately that thing will come to my mind, he died after declaring that he will not die. The word of God will say, but God did not die.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
it.
has been
That's it. Well, it's been quite emotional, and I can understand to a high degree what you went through. But I can you just tell just one advice? God has been faithful in this.
Indeed.
We still see the faithfulness of God. Can you just give an advice to someone going through this grieving period and just assure that person that God is still God?
Indeed, God is God. You know, during my early stage of this widowhood journey, I read some passages, some verses in the Bible that has like kept me going. So what I have to tell to anybody that is passing through grieving now is for you to hold tight on God. That this God is faithful. God is faithful. Forget it. God is faithful. Like I said in the beginning, grief has has opened my eyes. I was able to see that it's not only me. So you that is grieving now is not only you. It's not only you. And just hold on to God. Just hold on to God that if God can see me through and be seeing me through. You remember he said he will never leave me nor forsake me. And to tell you the truth, God has never leave I and my children. He has been there. So just the word of God, just the word of God, just if your head is filled up like this. Last week there's a place in my house that if the thing come like this, my head is as if it want to explode. I will go to that place and I walk around. My daughter came to me last week. He said, "Mommy, what are you doing here? I've been waiting for you inside." I just smiled, but tears filled my head, but I just smiled. I said, "Nothing, I'm just meditating." He said, "Okay, this place is your thinking booth." So we laughed.
That's a smart girl. That's a smart
We
girl.
laughed. He said, "Come out now. Tomorrow you go back to your thinking booth, but come out now." So if it come, just hold on to the word of God. Say something. If you know the word of God that you use at the right time, it will help you a lot.
Thank you, my namesake, Regina. It was quite an awesome and actually emotional moment for me. I went through the journey with you in my head, knowing that it wasn't just funny. But we thank God for how far He's brought you.
Sure.
And we're trusting Him that He will see you further and much more better. So we'll see you again, hopefully,
Sure.
by the grace of God. All right, it's been a wonderful time on Grief Diaries today, and I can tell you, and I'm sure you will give me a feedback on how you've learned one or two lessons. And life would always happen to people. All we can always pray for is to go through it, because we are all here to hear our stories in order for us to learn a lesson that would help us. Do not grieve alone. That's what we are all about, to share with one another and comfort ourselves. Until I see you again on Grief Diaries, I am Mama Reg. Bye.